The cage was small, too small for her long limbs, too low for her to sit up straight. Rusted bars pressed against her skin like reminders. You don't matter. You don't exist. No name. No clothes. No hope. She had been like this for she didn't know how long. Days? Weeks? The artificial light from above never changed. The feeding slot opened twice a day, sliding in nutrient paste. A metal straw for water. No voices. No faces. Only cold eyes behind glass, scribbling on pads as they studied her like an animal. She wasn't even given a number, just referred to as Subject 11RX. That and it. Her species, Caprali, had once lived in peaceful song and warmth on garden worlds.
Now she was one of the last.
A lab rat in a black site. A relic to be tested, tortured, and thrown away. Until the day he arrived. She heard his voice before she saw him. She's just a kid. It was low, rough with emotion. Unlike the sterile drones and hushed scientists, his voice cracked through the quiet like thunder with a heart. The door hissed open. She blinked against the light. A tall figure stepped inside, wearing a dark pilot's jacket and a worn utility belt. His skin was sun-bronzed, his beard patchy, his eyes green, full of storms. He stopped a few feet from her cage, horrified. She's naked? You monsters left her like this. A robotic voice from behind the glass replied coldly, emotional interference compromises data collection. The subject is best observed in isolation. He didn't respond to them. He crouched. She shrank back, trembling. She had learned what happened when males got too close. But he didn't touch her, didn't speak again. Instead, he took off his jacket and slid it through the bars.
Warm.
Heavy.
Real.
Here, he said quietly. I'm sorry. She clutched it, confused. He stared for a moment longer. Then he did something no one else had ever done. He saw her.
And he cried.
His name was Reid, a retired human engineer and pilot hired to restore old AI cores in the research facility. Just a contractor. He wasn't supposed to know about her. She was classified, buried under layers of off-the-books experimentation. But he'd seen something he wasn't meant to, and he couldn't unsee it. He started visiting every day. Brought food. Proper food. Wrapped in napkins. Smuggled past the cameras. Sometimes just a blanket. Sometimes a comb.
She didn't speak.
She didn't know how anymore. Her voice had faded from disuse. But her eyes followed him. When he smiled, something in her chest ached. He started talking to her like she was someone. Name's Reid. Born on Luna Colony 4. I fix broken things. One day, he whispered through the bars. Maybe I can fix you too. She began responding in small ways. A nod. A soft blink. One day, when he placed a small handheld hollow player near the bars, she reached out. Music. Gentle, slow, and full of light. A tear slipped down her cheek. Reid wiped it away with his thumb. Careful, reverent. You're not a thing, he said. You're someone. And for the first time in years, she believed it. That night, he made a choice. He would get her out, no matter what it cost. It wasn't easy. Security was tight. The lab was buried beneath kilometers of rock on a forgotten moon. The staff? Cold, loyal to profit, and armed. But Reid had worked systems longer than most of them had been alive. He mapped the cameras, timed the patrols, smuggled a scrambler chip into the central AI node. And then he told her, tomorrow, when the lights flicker twice, it's time. She blinked slowly, her first clear gesture of understanding. The escape began with a blackout. Reid stormed into the chamber, keycard overridden. He opened the cage. She didn't move at first, just stared. Then her bare feet touched the floor for the first time in months. He wrapped her in a cloak and whispered, "Stay close." Alarms began to blare. They ran through corridors, across steel catwalks, into the guts of the base. One guard spotted them. Reid knocked him out with a pipe. Another raised a blaster until she, in a burst of instinct, screamed.
Not a sound.
A shockwave. The guard hit the wall like a rag doll. She stared at her hands. He looked at her with awe. "You've still got fire." They reached his ship, an old Terran freighter named the Emberwake. Barely functional, but it had heart. Like her. The engines flared. Bullets ricocheted off the hull. Then they launched, into the stars, into freedom. She sat beside him in the co-pilot chair, wrapped in that same jacket, hands trembling. She didn't ask where they were going, because it didn't matter. She was no longer in a cage. Days passed in silence. Reid gave her a room.
Clothes. Time.
He never touched her without permission. Never demanded anything. She watched him repair the ship, talk to himself, feed her gently cooked food, and ask questions without expecting answers. He told her about oceans, about Earth, about wind that tasted like salt, and campfires under real stars. She listened. Then one night, she finally spoke. One word.
Horse.
Why? He looked at her, stunned, then smiled. Because someone should have done it a long time ago. She chose her name the next day. Aelira. In her language, it meant one who lives again. Together, they visited forgotten moons, quiet forests, refugee stations. Wherever they went, she helped him fix things. He helped her heal. He never called her broken. He called her brilliant. Aelira began to smile, then laugh. And one night, curled beside him under a borrowed sky, she asked if he would stay, just stay. He said, "Always," and kissed her forehead like a promise. 1 year later, the galaxy spoke of a freighter that carried more than cargo. A ship that found survivors in the shadows, that freed cages no one else dared to touch. And on its bridge stood a man with weathered hands, and an alien girl who once had no name. She'd lost everything, but gained the one thing that made her whole. A human who wiped her tears and gave her back her future.